everyone, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads. Join me in making this MobyDuo bracelet, a whale of a tail. If you need any materials, remember that you can get them from us at PotomacBeads.com. So we're going to begin this bracelet here with 2 needles. So we're using 2, and I have size 12 needles, size 10 or size 12 work. And the first thing we're going to do is actually put on our clasp, our button. So I want to have a couple of my seed beads out, and these are 15O seed beads in the crystal silver rainbow. That is a Miyuki brand seed bead that is coated in the Czech Republic. And we're going to have those out and kind of ready to go, along with one of our drop beads. And just like the 15Os, these are also coated in the Czech Republic in that nice bright silver, and then the Miyuki 3.4 millimeter drops in the crystal lab. We're going to begin then with our Mobies on either side, but to begin with the button, I want you to put onto one of your needles, right or left, and I have green wildfire in the 0.006 size, about 5 feet. Put on 3 of your 15Os, and then you're going to put on that jet full AB button face down so that the dome is down. From there, go ahead and pull the needles through. And the top of the button is just going to be decorated a little bit with those seed beads. It's so shiny it's hard to even see them in there. Coming out the back then, I'm going to put on to each needle 3 15s, 3 on the left and 3 on the right. If you have yourself, or I'm sorry, find yourself having trouble with going and using kind of both needles, you can drop one needle and just use the right hand and then pick up the other needle and vice versa. If you happen to have one 11O sitting around, you can grab an 11O or you can just use another 15. You're going to take one needle through that 11O from right to left, and then the other needle from left to right, crossing through the 11O. After doing so, you want to make sure that you have equal amounts of thread on both sides. And with one of the needles, doesn't matter right or left, I want you to go back up through those 3 seed beads, out the top of the button, through the 3 seed beads in the button, and also down through the button on the other side. What this is going to do is put an extra strand of thread through the button, reinforcing that clasp. Go ahead then back down the 3 on the other side. So basically you're just circling your thread through, and then again going through that 11O. We want our thread and needle coming out opposite sides of the 11O to get started on the bracelet. After you have your clasp on, you have that nice kind of V sitting there with the 3 15s on either side, and then our thread crisscrossed through the 11O seed bead. Like I said, if you just have the 15s, you can cross through a 15 as well. Now that we have our button on, we're going to go ahead and actually start putting on our MobyDuos and getting our pattern. We're basically going to be repeating with the right and the left anything that happens. To start out, I want you to put 5 15Os on both the right and the left needle. Once those 5 15Os are on, you're going to pick up with your right needle your first MobyDuo. It's going to be going through that first hole when it's facing down, so the flat side is down and the ridge of the back of the whale is facing up. From there, I want you to put on 4 of our 15Os, and then you're going to pick up your next blue MobyDuo again through that bottom first hole. We are now going to crisscross through those beads. Picking up my alternate needle, the left-hand needle, I'm going to go through those same beads all the way to the other side. This is a good moment also to make sure you still have equal amounts of thread on both sides of your needle. From here you get kind of a little V-looking kind of bunny thing. We are going to switch it into looking like whales. To do so, I want you to pick up a 15, a drop, and a 15 on both the right and the left needle. So again, if you're uncomfortable doing your left hand, go ahead and put the right needle down, pick up the needle with your right hand, and then kind of shift it over to the left. From here, we're going to crisscross basically through the MobyDuos in the second hole. I'm going to begin with my right needle, going through the second hole of the Moby, and pulling that seed bead and that drop right along the side. From there, I want to put on a 15. Then we're going to pick up one of our Jet AB Mobies through that same first hole, one more 15, and then we're going to go out the alternate MobyDuo towards the left. That's going to position this Jet AB MobyDuo right in the middle. And you want to make sure that that whale's swimming the same way, that he's not swimming upside down. Nobody wants an upside down whale. From there then, we are going to take that left needle and I'm going to crisscross through everything that I just did. When you exit on the other side, you want to make sure that you're coming out the MobyDuo and that you're not going through any of the seed beads. This will position your needles on opposite sides, and it gets that first little swimming look in. So you have your dolphins or your whales right there. From here, you are going to add in 3/15 on both the right and the left needle, and then you're going to pick up your next MobyDuo in the blue color. Now you can use any color for these. I just wanted to go with that whale of a tail oceany theme. And I'm always going to pick up the first hole when it's facing down, going through. On the right hand side then, you're going to add a 15 and sew through the black one. And I'm going to just let that hang out while I do the same thing with my left needle. So 3/15s get added. You're going to pick up your next MobyDuo, sewing in towards the middle with that second hole. After that, add another 15 and in through that second hole of the Jet AB MobyDuo. When I go into the second hole of the Jet AB MobyDuo, I'm also going to go through that 15 and the MobyDuo that's on the right side. As I pull then, the MobyDuo or the needle that's coming out towards the left is going to go through the 15 and the MobyDuo that I just added on the left hand side. That's going to get your threaded needle in position there, that we've got the next ones ready to go. From here, we just repeat over and over and over again. So we have on our 15, drop, 15, in towards the center of the MobyDuo. And again, this is going to happen on both the right and the left hand side. Add a 15, add your MobyDuo, add a 15, and out towards the left hand side. I'm going to repeat that same thing with the left hand needle, except my MobyDuo is already there, so I don't need to add another one in. I'm just crisscrossing through what is already there. 15, and then a drop, and then a 15, and going through. If you want a little bit more of the drop action, you can also put a drop on between when you're jumping from adding one of the metallic aqua to the next one. I'm going to go the whole way over, and again, when you're coming out the MobyDuo on the side, you want to make sure that you are not at all going through the seed beads. There I'm in position, and I'm ready to start over again. 3/15s go on, grab your next MobyDuo through that right hand bottom hole towards the left, add a 15 and sew through that jet Moby in the middle. On the left hand side, grab your needle, 3/15s, add your next Moby, this time through that first hole as well, but you're going in towards the left hole, in towards the middle. Again, repeat just what you did, going through that black 15 and through the blue. Give a nice tight pull and get those whales sitting so that they are sitting in shape. You're just going to continue having these whales float right along the middle and continue till you get the whole length of your bracelet. Hopefully you're moving along swimmingly. Couldn't resist, sorry. But I wanted to show you that I do sew and weave a lot faster with my right hand using my right needle. So what I do is I usually do about 1 inch with the right, and you can see that it's detached a little bit. And then I go right along now and switch needles and go ahead over and repeat going through and stitching through the seed beads that are already there, adding in my 3 bead link, and then also adding in my drops. So it makes it a little bit faster if I do a section at a time, and then sew back through. That second time you bring in the needle through, you're only picking up really seed beads and drops, and your Mobies are already there. The reason that I do not do more than an inch at a time is because sometimes it can affect the tension, and you'll end up with a little bit of a kind of snag one way or the other. So if you are doing a bunch with one side at a time and then the other, usually keep that to about an inch. That way you don't affect that tension at all. And just going along the side, then I'm just sewing right along the side and adding in that step. If it confuses you to go ahead and go for that extra inch, do not. Just keep going with right, then left, then right, then left. But the bracelet is coming along nicely, and I'm continuing adding in the MobyDuos along with my drops. When you get to the end and you have your length of your whales swimming down, you want to come out the end, and instead of adding in another one of the black whales, I am going to just add 4 of my 15-0s. This is going to mimic the start where we leave off that MobyDuo at the beginning. Coming out the ends here, we're going to repeat that start where we have our 5 15-0s, and then again, if you have an 11-0 sitting around, you can use that, or you can use another one of your 15s, or you can even use a drop if you want, and that'll kind of push to the top generally. I'm going to use an 11-0 because I have it here. So I have 5 15s and 1 11, and then on the other side again 5 15s. Taking my needle and thread, then I am going to crisscross through that 11-0 seed bead. So one needle is going through from right to left and the other from left to right. And that closes off the end of my whale of a tail. And now what I'm going to do is make my loop for my button to fit into. So I'm going to clean up my bead mat, adding on a bunch of the 15-0s sitting left, about 30, 32 of them. And if you need to pour out a couple more, you can as well. I'm picking these up with one needle, but then what we're going to do is reinforce the loop that we do with the other needle as well. If it happens by accident that somehow you got more thread on one side than the other and you don't have quite enough left on the other, you can do the whole loop with one side of thread. It's not going to affect it one way or the other. So I'm going to continue picking up my 15s and kind of cleaning up my bead mat here, adding them in. And I'm going to pour out a couple more to go ahead and get my loop. Once I have my loop complete, you're going to take your thread and needle and sew through that 11-0 from left to right. Take the other thread and needle, reinforce back through that entire loop, going the opposite way. You should end with one needle coming out the 11 on the right and one needle coming out the 11 on the left-hand side. Once you reinforce your loop going through a second time, you're going to bring your thread and needles down, and I want them to come out kind of towards the back so I can hide a thread when I'm going to knot the two together. So I'm going to come down through the 5 seed beads on the side, on this right hand side. You can see my thread's getting a little short. Go through the MobyDuo and come out through the 4 seed beads in the middle there, and just bring my needle out right after the MobyDuo. I'm going to bring the other needle down the other side and out in the same location. You may also be wondering why I did this with 2 needles versus 1. It's because it is, whether or not you realize it, odd count peyote. When you do odd count peyote, you can really, and peyote kind of going to the side, you're only going to get one side basically that's decorated with the drops. You'd have to come back down the project to get the rest of it decorated with the drops as well. So I figured I might as well do 2 needles and decorate and get the sides matching and even on both sides. Now I have the 2 needles in the same location. I am going to actually take my needles off one side of my project, whichever one was shortest usually. Go ahead and do a knot, tying right over left, left over right. What I'm going to do now is take one of the threads, the one that's still attached to the needle, and I'm just going to go and sew through a little bit further through the project. That sometimes will bring the knot into the piece, depending on if you remember which side you did. And the reason I'm separating this is just so that when I burn my thread ends down, both ends of the bracelet are not in the same place. It'll make it a little bit harder to see that knot. So now I'm going in with my thread zapper, my thread burner, burning that down, and going back to the knot and burning that down as well. If you want to, you can even keep the needle on both sides of the thread after tying the knot and sew them in opposite directions. Go ahead and burn down those thread edges, and now you've done swimmingly, and your whale of a tail bracelet is finished. Thanks so much for watching the whale of a tail bracelet. Hopefully you get to make your own. So this whale's tail bracelet matches kind of my blue theme for the day, but it's a fun use of working with 2-hole beads. You can change this up and do it with other 2-hole beads as well. Just play around with the 15-0 spacing. Like always, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel by hitting the little bell below me. When you hit that bell, you get regular updates from us at Potomac Beads on new products, new information, new better beaders, and staying to date with what's going on in the beading world. In addition to that, you can give a little thumbs up on the videos that you like. It helps me to gauge exactly what you want to see and which videos are popular with our viewers. Keep in mind, if you need any materials below the video, there's a link that says shop here or show more, and you can click down on that. It'll give you specific links to the exact colors that were used in this video, as well that you can shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. Have so much fun and a swimmingly good time doing your whale of a tail bracelet.